Now let's get you update from Bangladesh, where violent mob on Wednesday vandalized Bangabandhu Memorial Museum in Dhaka, which is a former residence of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who was Bangladesh's founding president and father of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The deplorable incident took place at about 8 p.m. local time after the Student Against Discrimination convener Hasnat Abdullah gave an inflammatory call on Facebook to that effect. Now, meanwhile, Bangladesh's former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina strongly criticized the recent attacks on her father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's residence in Dhaka after protesters set fire to the house. She said, and I quote her, "A structure can be erased, but history cannot be wiped out," unquote. Now, she made these remarks during a virtual address posted on her party's social media platform. Earlier, Dhaka Metropolitan Police Joint Commissioner for Crime, Mohammad Farooq Hussain, said that they had deployed additional police forces in and around the Mujib Memorial Museum. However, eyewitnesses said that the protesters were able to reach the museum without major obstacles. And to discuss more on this, I'm joined by Mr. Alok Bansal, who's the Director of India Foundation and security experts as well. Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for joining us at this broadcast at TD India News Hour. When we look at the incident, the demonstrators said the house-turned-museum symbolized authoritarianism and fascism. However, it's been long associated with the great legacy of the foundational president of Bangladesh. When we look at the incident, thus this clearly showcases the current state of Bangladesh and how it is losing its history to the hands of the demonstrators. Mr. Bansal.
See, it's actually an extremely sad incident, and it depicts the lawlessness that prevails in Bangladesh. The father of the nation, the founder of Bangladesh, his house has been razed. And I think what Sheikh Hasina said is absolutely right. You can bring down a structure, but you cannot erase or wipe away the history. And incidentally, it is the house where Sheikh Mujib was assassinated, and his daughter bounced back from there. They could not erase his memory. And now they have tried to erase that structure. I'm sure the pro-liberation forces will bounce back. The attack on this particular house was carried out by Jamaat cadres and anti-liberation forces. These are the forces which have always been in the forefront in Bangladesh in opposing Bangladesh's liberations. These were actually Pakistani fifth columnists in 1971 who did not want Bangladesh. Unfortunately, the present regime which is occupying power in Dhaka has let them loose, and they did not make any efforts to protect this monument of national importance in Bangladesh. Now, to say that they had positioned police force or security forces and they could not control them is, I think, a fallacious propaganda, because we have seen the way the building was demolished. There were vehicles, there were equipment that was brought to demolish a house of that magnitude. And these were people who had pre-planned doing so. And this particular incident also shows that how scared the present power wielders in Bangladesh are as far as Sheikh Hasina's one call is concerned. Because she addressed the students yesterday, and I presume over 4.5 million people logged in. So that shows as far as her popularity is concerned. And against that, I think people who are scared with her growing popularity are the ones who have indulged in this sort of vandalization of a national monument.
Indeed, Mr. Bansal, but when we talk about it, another address that sparked another big issue in this incident, and Sheikh Hasina said that erasing history won't erase legacy, as you also just mentioned and highlighted. How would you decode this? Because this somewhere indicates the rising hope of restoring Bangladesh's historical roots back to its own shape.
What I want to say, I couldn't get you clearly, but I understand that as far as this movement is concerned, what we are seeing today, the demolition of this house, this does not show any unpopularity of Sheikh Hasina, but a panic reaction by anti-Sheikh Hasina forces, anti-liberation forces, who felt that this sort of an action by Sheikh Hasina's trying to speak to the students, she'll be able to mobilize forces to such a level that the present occupiers of the chairs in Dhaka will have to move. And that is one of the reasons why we see that even a slight attempt, political activity, a legitimate political activity by Awami League or its supporters is targeted by the opposition. Even distributing leaflets have been actually targeted by these people who are dealing with it. So this shows the fearfulness as far as these people are concerned, and these elements who are not in favor of Bangladesh want to erase anything that commemorates the liberation of Bangladesh, because liberation of Bangladesh shows the spirit of Bangladesh and also shows the collusion between India and Bangladeshi freedom fighters to liberate this country from the oppressive yoke of Pakistani military.
And in the middle of this, Bangladesh is also planning to host the elections, to conduct the elections. Is it possible to conduct the elections like this?
See, firstly, we must be very clear that Mr. Yunus doesn't have the support, and he won't want to go for elections because he cannot get elected, nor is Jamaat in a position to go for an elections. The only political force which wants to go for elections is BNP, which is of course a political party. They feel that they have an opportunity to win. But those who are wielding power, those who have illegitimately, unconstitutionally, illegally occupied power, are in no hurry to have elections. Now, to have elections in an environment like this, where you don't allow one of the major political parties of Bangladesh to even indulge in basic political activities, the elections obviously would not be free and fair. So that's a given fact. But in any case, some elections are absolutely essential, because you have somebody occupying chair without any legitimacy, without any support, without any authorization, either constitutional or by the people.
Somewhere with her address, the address made by Sheikh Hasina yesterday, and as you rightly pointed out, that her following is still there, her popularity is still there, and that too with a great force. What do you think could be the future of Bangladesh, considering Sheikh Hasina's willingness to come back?
See, I think if the international community accepts that Sheikh Hasina is the legally elected Prime Minister of Bangladesh, I have no doubts that she'll return. And if she returns, the army will stand by and the people will follow her. Unfortunately, the pro-liberation forces in Bangladesh, who are by no stretch of imagination in minority, are leaderless at this point of time, because no Awami League leader of any worthwhile position is being allowed to function. They have either been arrested or slapped with ridiculous charges. There are ministers who have been slapped with murder charges and things like that. And not only what has happened in Dhanmandi today, other political leaders, their homes have been burnt. Just now I got a report that close to Rajshahi, the former Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Shahryar Alam's house has been burnt. I saw the pictures. So all these leaders are being targeted because these anti-liberation forces realize that if they give an opportunity to pro-liberation forces to reorganize, they'll be wiped off within no time. So they don't want to give them the chance of organizing. They're, as it is, quite shaken up by the stoppage of US aid, which was the main source of funding for them. And now with President Trump in power, they are quite shaken up. And I think one decisive statement from India or US saying that they do not recognize this illegitimate government and consider Sheikh Hasina as the Prime Minister of Bangladesh would be enough to bring her back to power.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashok Bansal, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on the ongoing situation.
Thank you.